All right. Hello, everyone. I am JimMist86, here to run The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time 3D on the Nintendo 3DS. So this is the remake of the N64 title that everybody is familiar with and loves to play. Today we're going to be running the All Dungeons category for you guys. So we will be going through all the dungeons and then beating the game. With me on commentary, I have Adef.
What's up? I play mostly the original version of Ocarina of Time, so I'm here to, ask Jim some questions and observe this amazing room. We got the GOAT of Zelda speedrunning on the stage right now, so I'm excited to see it. This is a really, really cool category, so stick around.
All right, so we can jump right into things here and delete this file. So do we have Dangerous, the winner for the file name bid war?
We do indeed. The winner with $250 is Sword Boy. All one word.
Sword Boy. Pretty accurate description.
Yeah, I would say, that is what it is.
All right. Well, if we are ready on the timer then, we will begin in 3, 2, 1, go. All right.
And we set the console down.
And we set the console down, yeah. So the All Dungeons category. So a dungeon in this category is any place that has a blue warp at the end of it. So that includes the Deku Tree, Dodongo's Cavern, Jabba Jabu's Belly, Forest Temple, Fire Temple, Water Temple, Shadow Temple, Spirit Temple. And then we got to go beat the game. So I guess notably that does not include places like Bottom of the Well or Ice Cavern or the Gerudo Training Grounds. We are not required to go into those locations at all. Sort of right away here, after this brief cutscene is over, we're actually going to get into our first sort of piece of subtle tech that is in Ocarina of Time 3D called Quick Text. So the way that text naturally scrolls in this game is, it just kind of scrolls how you would expect text in a pretty modern game to scroll by. But for whatever reason, there is a single frame at the start of about 99% of text boxes that if I hit the B button on that specific frame, the text box will just instantly complete itself and we can move on to the next one. So we'll see if we can get some right here. So like that was quick text right there. You saw the difference in the first one that scrolled by where I didn't get the B button hit. So text in this game is actually, it's a little difficult. You kind of have to have like a mashing rhythm for the B button to try to hit all of those frame perfect quick texts in a row. And it also means that this intro cutscene can take a variable amount of time depending on how much quick text you get. Which is why, unlike the N64 Ocarina of Time community, which now allows skipping this intro cutscene, we do not do that.
There's a skill check.
Because there's a skill check
during the cutscene. Yeah, quick text is, I don't know, how do you feel about quick text, Jim, in general?
I mean, it's nice that there's a way to make the text go fast.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wish it was just something like, holding the B button.
It is weird how sometimes some of these Zelda games will have easy quick text where you just hold the B button or press it naturally, and then sometimes they're like, you know what? Let's put a frame perfect trick on every text box in the game.
Yeah, they definitely did this intentionally.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah, that's just how Grezzo rolls.
Of course.
In case anyone doesn't know, Grezzo is the actual company that Nintendo contracted to make Ocarina of Time 3D and Majora's Mask 3D. And they're also the developers of the upcoming Echoes of Wisdom that we'll be releasing in a couple days. So yeah, they're responsible for all the shenanigans that we're going to be seeing in this run here.
And yeah, if you've seen a lot of the original Ocarina of Time speedrunning, there are some similarities, some movement tech will be similar here or there, but generally speaking, the two games are actually quite different, especially when it comes to speedrunning. So this category of All Dungeons is vastly different than All Dungeons in Ocarina of Time. I'm not going to say 2D, because that doesn't make any sense, because the game is definitely still in 3 dimensions. But yeah, so obviously Jim is going to be backwalking here, which is still going to be one of the fastest modes of transportation. The way I've always thought about backwalking in Ocarina of Time is basically if you think about walking as speed 1 and rolling as speed 2, there's a transition period when you're rolling, right? You have to accelerate into speed 2 and then decelerate back to speed 1 after the roll. Backwalking is sort of just constant speed 2 is a way you can think about it. The speed values are slightly different than that, but generally speaking, that's a way you can think about it. The downsides of backwalking, obviously, you can't see where you're going and you can't adjust very easily. So rolling still has the added benefit of being able to sort of do, curves, which the circle pad on the 3DS, which I'm sure will be relevant many times in this run, is... It's interesting because the analog stick in the N64 is not as easy to do arc motions as you can accomplish smooth arcs with the circle pad.
Oh, there we go. All right, so coming up, we got our first real trick here. It's the forest escape. We're going to be doing a trick called a triple slash clip here to clip through the forest guard. This one's kind of tricky. We have to angle Link up, but also have the camera in a weird spot so that we don't talk to the guard, and then we can just roll into him, and we're out.
Very nice. Yeah, that guy does not typically move until you beat the Deku Tree, but we don't want to beat the Deku Tree right now. It will be faster to do it later. And luckily, this cutscene where Saria gives you the Fairy Ocarina is here no matter when you enter this load zone for the first time from this side. Even as adult, if you enter this loading zone, you will watch this cutscene if you haven't done it yet.
Yeah, there are quite a few cutscenes in the game that the cutscene does not care if you're a child or adult. It'll just play the cutscene with all the characters that it expects should be there.
With the heights they expect them to be sometimes.
Yep.
And adult Link's knees sure will crack and bend to make him the height of the child Link model.
Yeah, we will see a pretty funny example of that later in the run, which is pretty cool. Once we beat one of the dungeons. So yeah, Adaf mentioned, obviously the Deku Tree is supposed to be the first dungeon in the game. You're supposed to beat it before leaving the forest. We decided to not do that. However, it still will be the first dungeon we beat. We just need to go and get some items first that we can use to speed things up before we beat it. All right, so now out here in Hyrule Field, we get to meet our good friend, the Owl. Everyone loves the Owl.
It's so interesting, like, I don't know, obviously I don't have nearly as many hours in this game as in the original, and even just those tree models, like when you exit into Hyrule Field for the first time in, say, OOT on the N64, there are like, this is such a stupid thing to care about, but there are like stumps coming out of the tree that you have to navigate and not go too close to the corner, but they truly shaved them off in this. There's weird little model differences in the 3DS version that, may have just been purely for aesthetic choice, but that, measurably change the movement. And, Jim will probably touch on even the way Link interacts with certain ledges and his height of interact with things is different in this game from the original. So there are some movement things that even if the models are the same, there's movement options that aren't possible in the original game that are possible here.
Yeah, so we want to get some rupees here at the top. I was being a little careful there because I specifically do not want to take damage here when jumping off those chains, but it did mean that I had to run up the other chain. Ideally, I would have gotten the rupee in the middle there when jumping off, but that's fine. That only wastes like 2 seconds ultimately, since we do actually have to wait for the day-night cycle here. Because currently our goal is we want to go and meet Zelda, get Zelda's letter, get Zelda's lullaby. 2 items that will actually be used in the run. So we also have to reload this area for Malon to appear. So we're just gonna side hop back into Castletown, a market area, and then go over here. Hey, it's our friend again.
Hey, Sword Boy.
Hey, Sword Boy.
It feels hurtful. I don't know. I can't really explain it.
I mean, he saw the sword on our back and just named us appropriately.
Sword Boy, derogatory.
All right, so ideally, technically, the fastest thing to do there, if I had gotten the single jump for the chain rupees, would have been to actually get caught by a guard here to reload the area. But you can only really do that if you don't waste any day-night time. Also, the guards are blind at night, so we just jump slash past that guy. But because I accidentally missed the chain back there, I had to just reload the area by going back to the market, which is 1 extra loading zone. So we have lost 1 loading zone of time.
Drat.
Darn it.
How tight are the day-night cycles in this run?
This is the only one that matters.
I was about to say, surely this is the only one,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, a notable difference from the original game will be Jim is going to have to wait for it to become day to wake up Talon here and then push the block over and get into the courtyard. In the original game, we might have access to explosives at this point, but OOT3D as of yet does not have a method of getting explosives super early. And so this sort of route of, let's talk to Zelda as quickly as possible, even if it's mostly vanilla movement and everything, is just the way that it is. Do you have to wait for that text box to go away for the item to be actionable?
No, I just accidentally climbed up at a bad time.
Oh,
there.
okay.
Yeah. Normally you don't have to wait for that, but I was trying to do a cheeky little trick that doesn't actually matter, where you can actually clip into the box here if you let go of the grabbing animation on a specific frame, but I wasn't able to get it. All right, and now we have the guards. Will the guards be nice today?
Oh my god, you don't have to
Find out.
jump slash there.
Nope.
Dude, OT3D is wild.
All right. You want to explain guards, Abel?
Yeah, sure. So the guards have actual vision cones, and as you can see, they don't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So they are shooting out of their heads constantly every frame, these like orbs of collision that are invisible. And if you come into contact with one of those orbs under a set of circumstances, the guard will catch you no matter what, including the guard just walking straight through
wall.
walking through the walls to get to you. Because the guard touching you has nothing to do with it. It is fully just the act of being caught. So Jim is side hopping. This is not just because side hopping is fast, which it is. As child, side hopping frame perfectly, as we say, where you're only on the ground for one frame at a time, is one of the fastest forms of movement, but also the collision check, or the function that checks to see if you're being caught, cannot check for only the one frame you're on the ground, and it also can't mark you as caught if you're in midair. So if you perfectly side hop every single frame, you can never be caught by the guards. Obviously, this is quite strenuous and difficult, so the movement is made a little bit more safe by sort of moving in a specific way to not come into contact with as many guards as possible, and Jim doing sort of a safer strat there as well at the end, because the guards, as you saw at the beginning, they love to just catch you anyway.
Yeah, especially that first guy tends to walk through the wall whenever he recognizes that he's caught you, so can be a little weird sometimes. Thankfully, I guess we only got caught once. I mean, ideally we wouldn't get caught at all, but I've had some days where it's like, oh yeah, we just get caught like 4 times in a row, and it's like, well, okay, I guess Zelda's not going to be met today.
It was right at the beginning too, so not bad at all.
All right. We got more cutscenes here, so if we have any donations that we want to read, now would be a good time.
Oh, you betcha. We got $20 from The King's Pride. He says, I'm a man of my word, so here's what I owe for running into a blood moon during last Tuesday's hotfix. So happy to see my buddy Jim up on stage, dominating once again. Money goes to Kill the Animals. Yes, and we still have that bid war for Super Metroid that is going to be ending at the end of the Super Metroid run, which is the very next run after this. So you don't have a lot of time left to put your donations toward that incentive. It's gonna be right after this run. So just saying, better get your donations in pretty soon. We also have a $5 donation from Kanto Karyu, I think is how you say that. It says, "Go Jim, go!"
Thank you, Kanto.
And we got $25 from Crystal Bellis that says, I tried to send an email to Ook, but I think I got turned around a bit. Oopsies. Anyway, good luck, Jim, and don't forget about Cacao:3, like the little cat face. The
yes.
3. Yeah.
I mean, that is true. We will be seeing the Kakariko Cowan house in this run, just kind of coincidentally. Thank you for reminding me of that, Crystal.
Do you have time for more?
Yeah, I can do one more.
Sure. Yeah, we got a $25.25 donation from CareBear21 that says, Hello, Games Done Quick Express. Sitting at home watching the stream with my family. We love your content and watch all the time. Let's go, Gymnast. Well, thank you very much, Care Bear. That's very sweet of you. Thank you very much, and thank you very much for your donation.
All right, so we got Zelda's letter. Now we can get Zelda's lullaby. So the route for this category, essentially the start here of the route is we want to get Ferori's Wind as fast as possible, right? Ferori's Wind is kind of just the item that makes this run work the way that it does. For those of you who don't remember, Ferori's Wind is one of the fairy spells in this game that casually I think most people don't really end up using.
Even though it's undeniably the best one. Like, it's not even close.
Yeah, basically, casually, it allows you to essentially save the room that you're in a dungeon, so that when you save in the dungeon, you can then return to the room without having to go back through the whole dungeon again to get to where you were for your progress. So normally the game restricts Feroria's Wind to only be used in dungeons because that's where it was intended to be used, and I don't know if the developers probably were just being safe and didn't really test it anywhere else on the overworld, and probably just didn't intend for it to ever be used there, so they restricted it everywhere else. But thankfully, we have a glitch that allows us to pretty much just use it anywhere, which is what's going to really open up the game for us here. But so, to use Feroria's Wind, we also have to get magic. So we're going to go and get some magic first here. With the ferry on Death Mountain Trail, we're going to go up to. And of course, now we got more backwalking.
It is interesting. Restricted item use is kind of one of those holy grails for a lot of Zelda games. It would be really nice to be able to use items in Castletown in Twilight Princess, for example. Restricted item use is just something that would be really cool because the Zelda franchise will frequently have items that you can equip but are grayed out in certain areas, and Feroria's Wind is one of those. In Ocarina of Time, like Jim was saying, any overworld area, it's sort of grayed out. And in original Ocarina of Time, it's quite hard sometimes to use restricted items, but 3D kind of bursts the door open as far as restricted item use, and allowing some really cool stuff that makes this run really unique.
Ah, darn it, missed those last few there. Oh, hello. Let's get around the gate. There we go. All right, so normally to get up to the fairy fountain on Death Mountain Trail, you would need explosives or something to break the rocks that are in the way on the path up there and in front of the fairy fountain. We do not have anything like that, so we're going to have to do some special things to get up there and in there. First thing right here we're going to do is a forward extended super slide, though.
That's really fast for a fest.
Yeah, the forward extended super slide speed was significantly buffed in 3D. Also, we're going to pause for the angle change here. In the original Ocarina of Time, the speed that you would get for doing this is not, it's never worth it to go for at all. But in 3D, hey, saves 10 seconds going up Death Mountain Trail.
Yeah, so there's, the term actually comes from the Ocarina of Time speedrunning community. ESS position is something you might be familiar with if you've been around speedrunning. It stands for extended super slide position, but it is basically the area just outside the dead zone of your analog stick, and if you hold in that direction, in actually quite a few Zelda games, Link will turn in place without walking. And this is incredibly useful in Ocarina of Time, as you just saw. If you take damage and interrupt that damage somehow, there are quite a few ways to do this. While you are holding ESS position, then you can get these fast movement techniques like HES, which is Hyper Extended Super Slide, or FES. Jim is reloading this area, I presume, to do something silly.
Yes, so the weird movements that I did there unloaded the collision of the statue back here, so we're just gonna, oh, no, it didn't, never mind. All right, I'm gonna do that again then. I think let's see, can I make it work by just doing this one more time, I think. We go out, and then in, and then out, and then in again. I think the problem is I didn't walk forward enough at one point there. But basically, we are attempting to do this trick called Occam's statue that unloads the collision there. Okay, there we go. So this allows us to get into Death Mountain Crater, and this is why we did not want to take damage earlier, because Death Mountain Crater is a hot area, which means that we get a heat timer on us now. And if we had taken any more damage, we likely would not have had enough time to make it all the way up to the top of the crater area here, because this is how we skip the explosion requirement for getting up to where the fairy fountain is. So as long as we just make it to the loading zone before the timer runs out here, we will be good. And then up here to get into the fairy fountain itself, which also has a wall blocking it, we are going to do another triple slash clip. This one is also special because we have to weirdly backwalk while it's happening, and then hope that we get, there we go, the recoil on the wall.
Nice. That is really hard. That is not trivial.
Yeah, all of the triple slash clips we've done so far for the forest escape, and now this one, these are the not easy triple slash clips. The rest of the ones that we're going to do in the run are the very easy ones where you just line up and then do a sword swing 3 times followed by putting the sword away. It's actually a little strange. The Adef and I showed this to Adef before the run began, but when like you do a sword slash combo in this game, right? For whatever reason, if you then immediately put your sword away after you finish that combo, Link will just like take a gigantic step backwards.
And it's not just, it's like a teleport.
Yeah, it's like a teleport backwards. Like Link just goes like, ooh, and then, you know, you can use that displacement to clip through walls and stuff, and actors, which is what we've seen so far. But yeah, so for some reason, I don't know why you can just put away your sword immediately in 3D. That's not something you can do in N64.
No, it's not.
You have to fully wait for his sword slash animation to finish before you can do that.
It's because Grezzo?
It's because Grezzo, yeah. I mean, I don't know, maybe they forgot to update, like maybe that's on like a timer or something, and like you...
Maybe it was a conscious choice, Jim. Who's to say?
Maybe,
They
yeah.
really wanted you to be able to put your sword away quickly.
Yeah, we do rag on Grezzo a little bit due to just some of the glitches that are possible in this game that were not possible in the original game.
But this game is really good.
yeah.
I really like Ocarina of Time 3D. My opinion has always been like, as a person who's probably my favorite game is Ocarina of Time, or at least in the top 3. When people who've never played it ask me which version they should play first, I think this is probably the definitive casual experience. It's really pretty. It has a little bit of nice quality of life change. Like, the game is very good. It sounds good. It looks good. Just the glitches are kind of silly.
Yeah. Yeah, casually this game, you know, it works perfectly fine. It's just like there are like certain differences that you notice when speed running the game compared to the original game that it's like a little weird that that somehow happened.
It just doesn't feel like most remakes. Like, I can't explain it, but there's very strange changes.
All right, so here we're going to wait for Navi to appear. We're going to do a Navi dive, also using a triple slash, where we're going to talk to Navi to both step backwards and start a cutscene, which is going to put Link into the water so we can dive down here. Because this is going to get us to Zora's River, which is where we want to go if we want to get Ferori's Wind. Also, we can jump slash here, which is something you can't do in the N64 version for some reason.
Yeah, so that Navi dive is an application of something called cutscene diving. Basically, when a cutscene or any kind of state that puts Link in, you know, some kind of static interact, like a text box or Navi interact, Link's collision properties change, and the sort of actors he can interact with changes, and water does not interact with him in the same way, and he just falls right through it as if it weren't there. But as soon as you clear the text box, the game checks your surroundings and is like, oh, you're underwater. And you start swimming immediately, so you have to quickly get into the little warp point.
All right, so we're going to pick up some more items here in Zora's Domain. We're going to get a Deku stick from this pot, and then we're going to go over and get some Deku nuts from this pot. We could technically do this next part with just one stick and the 5 Deku nuts, but for marathon safety, we'll get more, just in case something gets messed up. Because messing up the next trick that we're going to do, at least like enough to the point that my ammo runs out, would be kind of bad. Also, I don't know how we didn't pick up the Deku
that was
there.
so weird, though.
Just walk through it.
That did not feel right.
All right, so here we got an easy triple slash clip. In this corner right here to skip King Zora, we just line up the gyro reticle with the torch, and then bing, bang, boom, we're out of bounds.
Bing, bang, boom, we're out of bounds.
And then thankfully, because this area has water, we can just swim up in the water past King Zora. All right, so now we're going to go get Ferori's Wind, which is in the fairy fountain here. But this fairy fountain is also blocked off by a wall that requires explosives. Interestingly, hammer will not work on the wall. It does actually require explosives to break it. We do not have explosives, though, but we do have a sword and some Deku nuts. So we're going to do something here that looks really weird. This is also 3DS only.
Yes.
Something's
wrong.
There's a very specific edge case where the game's collision just does not know what is going on at all, which we will see here as I get into a very precise position. And we're in the air.
This trick is so funny to me.
And let's see, line up like this. Oh, not quite. Let's try that again. This trick is also very hard, so
This was a big holy grail for OOT 3D for a long time, was Ferori's Wind early, either quickly or easier than it used to be. This was a really big breakthrough discovery, this trick that Jim is doing right now.
Oop. And we're in. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, so what happened there, right? Like Link just rises up into the air, quick spinning, and then side hops away. So in that area specifically, there is a sort of secret passage underneath the silver boulder that's there. If you remove the silver boulder and go underneath, there's a passage that leads to a Skulltula token as Adult Link, right? I don't even remember what the specific explanation for this is or like what the technical details are, but basically, if there is a very specific kind of non-vertical wall below a floor, so we got the floor and we got this like very slightly slanted wall, if you are on the floor directly above that wall, the game is just like shoots you up into the air.
But it's very precise.
But it's very precise.
Because you're looking for like very specific edge vertices or like one specific place on the wall. So that's why Jim needed the very specific setup of like slash the sword here, get in this angle. And then rising up the thing is also another task.
Yeah, so the reason we did the quick spins is because the quick spins allowed us to stay in a grounded state while we essentially navigated up the seam, which is what we call those invisible seams in this game. But because we were quick spinning, Link's sword was slashing, and Link can't fall while his sword is slashing, so that kept me on the seam. Also, we're just gonna enter into Jabu here real quick.
Nice. The load zone for every dungeon entrance is just always there. You don't need to feed the fish to Jabba, you just need to touch the load zone, and it is bigger than you think it is.
Yep.
So there are quite a few ways to get in there.
All right, so now we're gonna actually not use restricted items and just set Ferori's Wind intended. It's the last time we're going to be setting Ferori's Wind in an intended way. Because we're actually going to exit Jabu now and go back to the Deku Tree. We have done all of our setup, and now we are actually ready to begin tackling some dungeons in this all dungeons speedrun. Also, I had to exit the dungeon there before save warping, because if I save warp in the dungeon, I just would have reappeared in the dungeon. And we want to reappear back at Kokiri Forest here. We're also going to go get a Deku Shield. You don't actually need the Deku Shield to pass Mido because of the fact that I believe I forget if it's like getting Zelda's letter or if it's just because it's nighttime, but Mido is not blocking the path to the Great Deku Tree anymore.
I think it's Zelda's letter, because Zelda's letter also weirdly changes the...
It changes the guard.
The guard if you haven't
front,
beaten Deku Tree yet, and it becomes much harder to get past him, which is so weird.
Getting ourselves another Deku Stick.
The shield isn't as powerful a tool in OOT 3D, at least not for the same reasons, as it is in Ocarina of Time. If you're familiar with ISG or Power Crouch Stab, Power Crouch Stab is, I believe, completely absent.
Yeah, Power Crouch Stabbing is patched.
And then ISG, I think, is very technically possible.
Yeah.
But it's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's technically possible, but it's very limited. The biggest problem is that if you get ISG and then put your sword away, ISG goes away. So that kind of limits what you can do with it, because you always have to have your sword out, and it's just really hard to get in the first place.
I'd like to blame whoever it was that went to that GameStop demo all those years ago.
And performed ISG.
And recorded it on their phone and then uploaded it to YouTube, and then it wasn't in the final game. You know who you are.
Well, so the theory that I've actually heard, also we're kind of just doing Deku Tree normally here, we're going to get the slingshot and then go beat Goma more or less, but the theory that I have heard from some people is that apparently all of the like notable glitches that were patched in Ocarina of Time 3D from the original game were all ones that were shown in like a very specific speedrun done in like 2010 by Pokey, I think.
That somebody on the dev team just happened to Google.
That someone on the dev team just like Googled one speedrun, looked at all of the...
and they're like, oh, well, this must be it.
Yeah, they're like, oh, this is all the glitches that we need to patch, right?
Something similar happened with Wind Waker HD. There was a tech demo at like Best Buy and Walmart across the country that you could play, and it was like just outside Island, but you had the Wind Waker. And somebody recorded themselves getting dry storage, and then it wasn't in the game. So again, you know who you are. Let's keep these videos under wraps, okay, until the games come out, please.
Yeah, I remember seeing a zombie hover one for the Wind Waker demo, but thankfully the person doing it was pretty clever about like just barely testing it, not really giving anything away there. So we still got zombie hovering in Wind Waker HD, even if we can't die into loading zones anymore. Anyway, this is not Wind Waker HD. Stop talking about Wind Waker HD.
We have to talk about Wind Waker right now.
Yeah. Seriously though, where are those switch ports?
Genuinely.
Yeah. All right, here we're going to do another glitch again using our newly acquired Deku Shield. We're going to do a mega side hop here, which is basically a really fast side hop to skip the basement, break this web that's in the basement so we can get down to near where Goma is. That only works because of a little bit of a weird trick called an anti-grav, where because we had so much speed mega side hopping down into the basement there, Link actually kind of like slid on the ceiling as he was going down there, which gave him the momentum to break that, or which gave him the positioning, excuse me, to break that second web, because that doesn't work the same way in the N64 version there.
No, breaking that web with movement and not flames is definitely not typical.
All right, now we got our good old Division Sign Eyeball as our boss.
Yes.
This is the first ever 3D Zelda boss that was created. So of course it's going to be beaten in like 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right.
Nice stun lock. Very good.
Thank you. All right, now we get to another hard trick that is going to appear multiple times in the run. So there's a cutscene that you normally have to watch after beating this dungeon. It's very long. I don't want to watch it. So instead, I'm going to try to use Ferori's Wind at the same time that I enter the blue warp here. Okay, that's the frame. Very good. I do not want a system update. No, that's not what we want to do. Okay.
Very
so we've used Ferori's Wind here. We're going to return it within a specific time window. And this is going to cause what is known as a wrong warp. So, which is not, it's more of a cutscene skip being utilized here. We did technically wrong warp somewhere weird, but the point was just to kind of skip the cutscene at the end of the Great Deku Tree there. So what happened there is the first time that you enter a blue warp for some of the dungeons in this game, the game will attempt to perform an operation that switches where you actually go after you beat the dungeon, because for the first time that you beat the dungeon, you're supposed to like watch a special cutscene, right? So the game attempts to change, the game adds a relative value to the location that you are going to appear at after the blue warp, which for, the Deku Tree is normally in Kokiri Forest. But the first time, it puts you in Kokiri Forest plus a special value that says, play this cutscene that you're supposed to watch after Deku Tree, right? But what we instead did with Ferori's Wind is we overwrote where we were going, and instead told the game, no, we're going to Jabu Jabu's belly, because that's where we set Ferori's Wind. And then when the game added that relative value to try and be like, oh, play the cutscene now, that relative value added to Jabu Jabu's belly resulted in just us being in the void there. And then voiding out back to Jabu Jabu's belly, which is very convenient, because now we can beat Jabu Jabu's belly.
So wrong warping obviously is not just powerful because in some instances it will take you to a location you haven't even been to yet, but also skipping that Deku Tree cutscene is an excellent added benefit, and really the sole purpose of that particular one, like Jim was saying, because that's 2 minutes. Well, actually I don't know the length, but in this Mega Flip.
Thank you.
But you can skip watching the cutscene entirely because when the game starts to fade out from the blue warp and try to play the cutscene, warping away, the game still says, oh, cool, well, cutscene played, bada bing, bada boom, excellent, let's give that medallion to the inventory, which Jim does now have, but the cutscene didn't play, we skipped it, which is really nice.
Yeah. All right, so Jabu's more or less normal. There's one trick that we get to do in a few minutes here, so we probably have time for some donations as we backwalk through here.
Sure. I got one here I'm going to read, but before I do that, this is mostly probably going to mess with ADEF more than anyone else.
Oh?
Yeah, so you remember how long ago this game came out?
OT 3D or OOT?
3D.
3D is 2013. Is that right? Is that 2013?
2011.
2011. Same difference?
So it's been out for 13 years. Do you know how long it was the original had been out when
13
years.
13
this
years.
game has existed for as long as the original existed when this came out.
Yeah, that's not great.
I had a feeling that would mess with you, and that was the entire point. But yeah, we got a $10 donation here from Pippi in a Top Hat, who says, "Sir, please go fast. Disco Bob is counting on you. Also, good luck, 3. Thank you, Pippi.
Thank you very much, Pippi. Well, we are going to go fast. To be fast, we require getting the boomerang, which we got here. We're also going to return Ferroy's Wind to the start of the dungeon, because this is just a faster way of getting back here. Let's see, I'm going to equip the boomerang and Zelda's letter for a trick that we're going to do here. A lot of stuff is going to happen very fast in this next room, but basically, we're going to skip most of the rest of Jabba Jabba's belly by doing a mega flip. Also, we're going to collect some Deku Seeds.
You need those.
Yeah. We're going to do a mega flip off of the Beery enemy here, which requires us to do a somewhat specific setup to get the Beery into position. So now we're going to roll, throw a Deku Nut, backwalk to get off the ledge, turn left slightly, pull out the Ocarina so we don't target the Beery, and then whoop.
Nice.
There we go.
Very nice. So that skips the big Octo mini-boss, and also like 3/4 of the dungeon. We need the boomerang to kill Baronade. It's not possible to kill Baronade without the boomerang. Now Jim needs to be able to open this door without a box, because typically after Big Octo you lower the floor and then you place a box on top of this switch to keep the door open. But instead, Jim interrupted with a cutscene item. Also, gyro controls will never not be funny to me.
Yeah, let me just aim my 3DS.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so Jim stepped on the switch, and I believe on the same frame the interact began.
Yeah,
pulled
pulled out Zelda's letter. Yeah.
And that basically just interrupts it going down normally. You can also do this with a bottle or any item that sort of creates a little cutscene, so named cutscene items.
Yeah, so that's the one use that Zelda's letter gets in this run. Actually, I guess we technically use it for restricted items later, but that's the one time we actually use the letter itself. So the letter does get use. Yay. Yeah, so now we got Baronade here. Strategy for this fight has not changed at all.
Nope.
For the longest time. Basically, we're just gonna use the boomerang to cut down these tentacles, and then use the boomerang to stun Baronade, and use Deku Nuts to get rid of all the Beeries that Baronade tries to spawn here. So get rid of those. Specific timing to throw the boomerang,
Nice.
Get rid of those.
Jim rolls into Baronade there because Baronade will not get up or start the get up until you come into contact for like damage. But by rolling in, he does a damage cancel because there is certain interacts where when you're rolling, you don't take damage. And so really, really clean, exceptionally clean Baronade fight there. But yeah, Jim needs to roll into Baronade or just touch Baronade at all to cause the boss to get up instead of doing this weird phase where he like stays in the ground and shoots you.
All right, so we got another blue warp coming up here. Thankfully, this one we don't have to do any weird shenanigans with. The cutscene for it afterwards is not particularly long. And also just the fact that Ruto is already here in the blue warp and has text makes trying to use this blue warp for wrong warps just a nightmare.
Dude, it's so bad.
So we're just going to watch the cutscene. It's fine. But that also means that we have time for more donations.
You betcha. We got $5 from Fastest the One that says, "Hello, Jim. Good luck on your run today. Let's beat all these dungeons. Less than 3. And $10 comes in from Engineer Keys that says, "Man, what do you mean you don't want to update your system? Also, please save the animals." Yes, that did go toward the save/kill the animals incentive. Right now, Save the Animals is in the lead. So all of you that want to kill the animals, be sure to get your donations in toward that. That is going to be coming up at the end of the Super Metroid run, which is right after this one.
Jim, you know what's beautiful about... Remember like 60 seconds before the run started, and I asked you to move the window slightly so that it would be a better vantage point for me?
Yeah.
Activate Windows.
Activate window.
That's going to be there for the rest of the run.
I didn't even notice that. Dude. I'm playing off of the actual 3DS.
Right, so you wouldn't see it, but yeah, that's, yeah, good. Activate Windows, chat.
Very nice. All right, so we're going to save warp to go back to Kokiri Forest here. All right, so we beat Deku Tree and Jabba Jabba's Belly. That means that the one child dungeon that's remaining is Dodongo's Cavern. But we're not going to go to Dodongo's Cavern. Our next goal is actually going to be getting to Forest Temple. And I'd be thinking, hold on, that's a little weird. You weren't supposed to do Forest Temple as Child Link. Which is true, but we don't care about that rules, or we don't care about the rules, so we're just going to get to Forest Temple anyway. So we're going to use restricted items here, specifically like this, to set Ferroy's Wind outside of the House of Twins. Yeah, it's the House of Twins.
Yeah.
Here in Kokiri Forest, So now Ferori's Wind is set there, and we're going to be going to do a very interesting and kind of mind-boggling trick in a sense here. We're going to be starting a chain of what we call Death Hole Wrong Warps in Ocarina of Time 3D. As far as I'm aware, unless you do like some really weird SRM shenanigans, you can't do this in the original Ocarina of Time.
You could do it with Ganon Floor, I think. Or like you can chain warps with Ganon Floor, or rather with Dino Warping, sorry. But yes, with SRM you can chain stuff as well.
All right, so here we have to take some damage from these Deku Scrubs. And then what we're going to be attempting to do is we're going to be attempting to die into the forest stage grotto here, hence the death hole that's about to happen. Thankfully in 3D you can actually see where this is, because the texture is kind of see-through in this instance. All right, so we died into the hole. This is where the cow that I mentioned earlier comes in. Because we have now been wrong warped to the Kakariko Cowan House, which is, a little strange. After dying into a hole and then quitting the game. We're now going to return Ferori's Wind, and we're going to visit our good old friend, the Void. This is the Void.
Hello, the moon. Or is that the sun? I guess it's the sun?
I believe that's the moon because it's daytime and it's like below the map.
It has quite a corona for being a moon.
It does have quite the corona for being the moon. So what happened when we died into the hole and then quit the game there is the game tried to take us to the title screen, but only sort of succeeded. So the game is now in this weird, like, half title screen, half regular gameplay state.
Classic 3D Zelda. We're on the title screen, but moving around.
Yeah. If you've heard of Back in Time before in some of the other 3D Zelda games, it might seem like it's kind of similar to that, although it's not really similar to those at all. Also, I have to be careful here. If I get caught by these guards, the game crashes, so let's not do that. So what's going on here, the effect that we're making use of here is that whenever we enter a loading zone in this like pseudo title screen state, the game will just like every single time add a relative value to the loading zone we enter, which means that we're essentially going to whatever the index that corresponds to the loading zone we touch is plus the number 4. So we went into the market from a weird entrance and we didn't come out from where we entered. Now we're going to go over to the Temple of Time area, which is just going to take us into the backside of Fire Temple here. And we're going to be taking some damage. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. And so the final part of this chain that we want is we want to exit Fire Temple, which is going to take us to Forest Temple. But this is a little tricky because we also want to die at the same time. So what I'm going to be trying to do here is I'm going to be trying to lure this Keese over to the loading zone. Actually, that's not good. I'm gonna reload the room. We don't want the Keese to be facing that direction. I was a little late on the Deku Nut drop there.
These doors are not loading zones in the sense that matters for this trick, though. This is literally just loading and reloading this room. This is not taking Jim to a different entrance in the sense that matters for this trick. So reloading here for the Keese positioning is not a problem.
Yeah. Okay, let's do this. And then let's go and push you this way. That should be good. Because this is a fire Keese, we are also going to lose our shield here, but that's okay.
Nice.
And so now we're in Forest Temple.
Nice, Jim.
And so the reason that we had to die into the Forest Temple here is because now we can save and quit the game, which will properly put us back on the title screen, and then we can reload our file and actually be in Forest Temple, right?
And there's nothing in that room that could have killed Jim. There's no other way, and Jim also doesn't have explosives, so like there's no way to die any other way.
Yeah, so now we're in Forest Temple. And so Forest Temple is, of course, meant for adult Link. Child Link is just simply not tall enough for a lot of the interactions that are supposed to happen in Forest Temple. But that's fine because we're not really going to do most of them. We are just going to kind of skip straight to the boss, which is Phantom Ganon, after we watch the 4-pose cutscene here. So to get to I guess like similarly to what Adaf mentioned earlier, the loading zones that are like on this map are always active, and that includes the loading zone into the boss fight.
Yeah.
So essentially, if we can just get out of bounds and touch the loading zone, we can get into the boss fight. We're also going to intentionally pick up another jar of magic here, which we will need for casting more Ferori's Wind shenanigans later. So we're going to first get into the basement of the Forest Temple by doing a triple slash clip here, specifically the unloaded basement.
Yeah, so the collision is loaded, but none of the actors are here.
Right.
Because the collision is loaded for all these areas just all the time.
So we can sort of take some visual cues by the geometry above us that we can actually see. And then we're basically just finagling our way around back here. Okay, there we go.
Nice, Jim.
So the reason that we can kind of just like side hop and backflip out of bounds there is because one of the actors down there is the rotating wall that you normally have to push to reveal different parts of the room. Since that entire thing is an actor and the room wasn't loaded, that entire actor that normally also blocks you from going out of bounds is gone. So we can just kind of get out of bounds and get our way into the loading zone for the Phantom Ganon fight. Now, of course, this seems to present another problem, which is, well, hold on, we don't have the bow or the hook shot. And even if you did have those items, you couldn't use them as Child Link, which would be the items that you'd normally need to beat Phantom Ganon. But counterpoint, I have the slingshot.
So true.
So we will just take aim at the real Phantom Ganon here. The real Phantom Ganon is also weak to slingshot pellets. Obviously, the developers never intended for Child Link to be here, so whether or not that was just like, you know, it was probably just complete coincidence that these items work, I imagine.
I think they just filled out the damage tables for bosses with like everything.
Yeah.
For so many of these boss fights, there's items you wouldn't expect to have damage values that do. And I think it's just because they were like, well, we might as well.
Yeah, so the thing that actually makes us kind of broken as Child Link is that the boomerang also works. So we can just kind of repeatedly throw the boomerang up here at Phantom Ganon.
Does this work as Adult Link with a Quip Swap in normal OOT?
I don't know, honestly. He keeps pushing me away here. Oh, come on. Oh, I think he's getting smart about the boomerang, so we'll have to probably actually hit one of the energy balls back at him. Oh, that was too early. Is he still smart about it? Yeah, he's still smart about it. All right, well, unfortunately, this is kind of slow. Hopefully we don't die. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been like a huge deal. We would have just had to come down here again, but obviously it was nice to not die there.
Yes. In general, I would say Sword Boy does not want to perish.
Yeah. All right, so this is our third dungeon. The cutscene here is pretty long, so we currently have Ferori's Wind cast in the market, which is where we cast it during Death Hole Wrong Warp mode. So we're going to use that as a way to skip the cutscene after Forest Temple here. Forest Temple is not a blue warp that can be used for wrong warps because it does not attempt to add a relative value to wherever you are warping. So it's not one that can be used for that, but thankfully it can still be used for cutscene skips, and we should also remember to save. All right, so the setup for this one is we're gonna side hop into this corner, straddle the line right there. It's 1 frame early. Can I get the 1 frame buffer? Yes, I can. Okay, it is not easy to 1 frame buffer in this game, so I am very surprised that I got that.
Jim is buffering with the home menu because there's not really a good way to pause buffer in this game easily. And it's so much worse.
Yeah. All right, so now we're back in market. We're going to use Zelda's Letter as a way to perform restricted items here. I don't think we mentioned this yet, but basically to perform restricted items in this game, you have to have a usable and a non-usable button on your X and Y buttons. And then if you swap those buttons in the inventory and then like unpause the game, there is 1 frame where you can use the previously unusable item as well as not being able to use the previously usable item. So that's how we're setting Ferori's Wind here with the restricted items glitches by hitting Ferori's Wind on that single frame where it's usable. All right, so now we're going to do another Death Hole Wrong Warp chain. This one's going to be a little shorter. So we're just essentially going to be doing the same die into the hole, quit the game, watch the cow go moo, and then continue on from there. So if we have any donations, now would be a great time for them.
Oh, I definitely do. We got a $10 donation here from Dark Wiz Velanese that says, at TwitchCon, enjoying watching in the audience. Hello from the stage. We also got a $10 donation from Zero Lilia. Said, excited to watch a Gymnast stream in person after watching so many GDQ streams at home. Best of luck. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the best of luck.
$25 comes in from Erica Selesky that says, Vinny's birthday. Happy birthday, Vinny. Thanks for being such a great dude and for all you do along with Able Gamers. Let's go GDQX.
I had to time for one more.
Sure. We got a $25 donation from Mr. High Derager. It says, glad to support GDQ. Always fun to watch runs of my favorite games.
All right, so we have once again died next to the cow. And now we are going to return to the market. Moo.
Good impression. That was good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so this time we're going to enter into the shooting gallery, which +4 is actually outside the Temple of Time. And you're never going to guess what Temple of Time +4 is. It's Temple of Time.
I feel like I was lied to just now.
Well, it's the wrong side.
Yeah, well, it's Temple of Time, but really convenient.
Yeah, Temple of Time, but conveniently past the Door of Time, so we don't have to worry about opening the Door of Time, thankfully. So that is essentially this game's Door of Time skip. If you're familiar with the N64 version, you can just do a twisted side hop and jump slash to clip past the Door of Time. I think the modern strategy these days is lunge storage.
It depends on how much of a boomer you want to be.
Yes, to skip the Door of Time. Unfortunately, despite the community's best efforts, there is still no practical method of doing Door of Time skip in this game. The method that we just used is actually a one-time use only. We cannot do Door of Time skip that same way again if we wanted to do it again. Thankfully, we do not have to do it again. This is the one time we need to do Door of Time skip, so it works out fine. But the reason this is a one-time use is because when we entered into Temple of Time there, we were still in the Death Hole Wrong Warp mode, but the cutscene that played at the start of Temple of Time there, which is a one-time cutscene, actually kind of just canceled the mode altogether. So now we are just in the regular game again and can pick up the Master Sword without crashing the game or anything like that. And now we actually have a very long sequence of cutscenes that's going to happen. Because we have this cutscene with the Master Sword right here that is, of course, very long. We are then going to get the cutscene of Navi approaching the Master Sword after we're done with this, which you're supposed to watch as Child Link, but we just kind of teleported past based on where we spawned in. And then after that, because we have the Forest Medallion, we're also going to get the cutscene of Sheik teaching us Prelude of Light. So a lot of cutscenes coming up here. And I guess what I will say is that the reason we're watching all of these cutscenes specifically is because we want to get Prelude, but we are essentially taking 10 minutes to set up for one Wrong Warp.
Good.
In case there wasn't enough wrong warping already. Yeah, so Adef, I'd like to, if you don't mind me asking, if you don't happen to know already, what wrong warp do you think would be worth taking 10 minutes to set up in this game?
Okay, so the category is all dungeons, chat, so let's think about this. Okay, it's going to be a dungeon. Maybe. Okay, what are some dungeons that are easy to get into? As adult, Dodongo's Cavern, incredibly easy. Those boulders aren't there. We don't need to go to bottom of the well. Chews aren't really that important, I feel like. I could be wrong about that. That's probably what it is. I'm going to say Silver Gauntlets.
Okay.
Silver Gauntlets is my guess. I think that skips a lot of traversal time, but not 10 minutes. You know, Jim, I'm stumped. Can I get a hint?
You get a hint.
Yeah.
So I guess this might sound weird. We're not going to wrong warp to a location.
Cool. So that's not helpful.
Yeah.
Are you wrong warping into a cutscene?
Nope.
I guess that's technically a location.
Well, okay, we will wrong warp to a location, but the location is not important.
Dude, what?
Also, hold on. We did it. It's that legendary blade.
Oh my God, we're here. Oh, are these two cutscenes overlaying right now?
The Master
Oh no, it's
Sword.
Sheik. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just Sheik.
Just Sheik model being there as adult, okay.
And now we're going to reload the area so we learn Prelude.
You know, I don't like that a couple minutes ago Dangerous made me feel uncomfortable by talking about how I'm the same age as Ocarina of Time and half of my life ago was this thing.
You're welcome.
And I also don't like that now I'm being put on what the children might call blast. I feel I'm being put on blast. Jim, give me another hint.
So if we're not wrong warping to a location that's important,
Sure.
what benefit do you think wrong warping could provide in this game potentially?
It'd be nice to set FW in a convenient location. Skipping cutscenes is good.
Getting an item?
Yeah, but items are tied to locations typically. I don't like this game. I don't like this game specifically because I'm failing at this game. Let's be very clear on that. I don't know. For some reason I can't really. The logic feels sound, but sometimes it's these logic puzzles that are so difficult. I'm excited to see.
Well, you may not like this game. You want to hear something I like?
I like this game.
Well, you said you don't like this game.
I didn't say that. Oh, the game being Jim making me guess and look like a fool?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like that game.
Well,
I love
okay.
that game.
Well, you may not like that game, but you know what I like?
What's that?
I like the fact that we are less than $100 away from hitting $26,000, chat. We can do it really quick. We just got to get a few more donations in, so send those in. And remember, we still have the incentives open for Save or Kill the Animals for Super Metroid coming up right after this run.
All right, so...
Oh, is it for a state?
So the important thing that Prelude of Light is for is it actually activates the ability to go into this game's boss rush challenge, which we're not going to do any of. We're just going to enter and exit it just like that. And then using that, we are going to set Ferori's Wind. This does change how Ferori's Wind is set, which is very important for what we're about to do.
I got to jump in real quick. We are $24 away from hitting 26,000.
Go, let's go. And then we're going to take a nap to restore health and magic. All right, and now we're going to go back to the Deku Tree.
I think I'm beginning to see, Jim. I think I'm beginning to understand. I think the fact that you just set FW over a boss rush mini game load means that something is coming.
All right, so we've already beaten the Deku Tree. So why are we going back in here? Well, the wrong warp that we're about to do, we have to do from a blue warp that has already been used once, which the Deku Tree's already has been, so here we are again. We don't have a shield this time, so instead we're going to do B1 skip this way, using a broken Deku stick. All right, now this wrong warp that we're going to do is special. I don't just have to activate Ferori's Wind while entering the blue warp. I also have to return Ferori's Wind on a very specific frame. I also don't remember if I saved or not. So
You did.
do this again? Okay. No, better safe than sorry.
Yes.
So this one is double frame perfect. All right, so that's the first part right there where we're going to use Ferori's Wind.
And now we want to see if we can pause buffer directly to the frame. That's one frame early. Can I get another one?
Wait, actually, no, that wasn't it, unfortunate. That was one frame late. That's okay though, because we can just quit back out and retry again. So I got the frame before the one that works and the frame after the one that works, but not the one in the middle.
Since we're doing that again, I just want to point out we crossed $26,000, y'all. And we did that due in no small part to a $500 donation that came in from Bambras that says, love everything y'all do, keep it up. Thank you so much for that.
And so unfortunately I don't have a stick to do the basement one skip with again, but I can just jump up like that to skip the basement as well. Wait,
What did you just
I
take
don't-
fall damage on?
I took fall damage on something I don't know what I took fall damage on. That's never happened before.
Oh my god!
We got it!
He said the thing!
Oh my god!
Yeah, that was really weird.
Yeah, I've never seen that. All right, so this is the frame for Ferrari's Wind again.
And now, can we get the frame here?
It's 2 frames. Okay, can we do a 2-frame pause buffer? Okay, so this is the frame. We're gonna see a black flash, like that. All right. We are now Adult Link.
Oh, did you get the title screen Link loadout?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, wait, can I explain this?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so, oh, that's so cool. All right, when you boot up Ocarina of Time and Link is riding Epona in that wonderful, beautiful cinematic right at the beginning when the title screen is coming up, that is a real version of Link that is being used for the purpose of a playable cinematic. And that Link has, I believe, 14 hearts. He's got almost every item in his inventory. He's got a ton of upgrades. And you can access him in certain ways I guess in this version. You can do it in the base game as well. With SRM, you can get the sort of title screen loadout, we would call it, or like title screen Link. And this is obviously super useful because you skip picking up tons of items. So Jim has evidently used some shenanigans to warp into that state. And also, of course, another benefit, it changes your age. And as Jim was saying, you know, that's relatively difficult in OOT 3D without opening the door of time. So this is super good. Can you explain how you did that?
So unfortunately, I don't remember the exact technical details, but it's basically, it's some black magic that the Wayfaring Fox cooked up like 7 years ago.
That sounds about right.
Where he was like, oh yeah, if we can, you know, set Ferrari's Wind after leaving the boss battle, like, selection, now Ferrari's Wind will have this special value at this parameter. And then if we can return Ferrari's Wind at a blue warp on this specific frame, this parameter will do this, and voila, we're on the title screen. And it's like,
Great.
yeah, it's...
And this is why you have to void out so many times, because every void out is 1 heart. And like I said a second ago, Adult Link on the title screen has 14 hearts. So we get to watch Link scream and die 14 times.
Yep.
And then Jim can save and get all this wonderful stuff. And is this just overwrites onto your pre-existing file?
Mostly, yes.
Or is it a new?
So like all of the previous items that we have been overridden with all of these items that we now have. Another interesting thing that's happened is that our file name has actually changed. The game overwrites the file name here with Link at 4 characters, which is going to be what it looks like on the file selection screen. But it doesn't actually overwrite anything past those 4 characters. So the file name internally is actually Linked Boys or Linked Boy. But because the game also stores how long your file name is in the number of characters, it only displays the first 4, unfortunately. But internally, we are Linked Boy.
And that's what people donated for.
Yeah.
Obviously.
I've got a really timely donation here, actually, for this.
Sure.
Yeah, we got $25. This comes from inside the game. $25 from Ganon.
Oh my God.
It said, nice wrong warp, sword boy.
Whoa. I don't like this Ganon guy.
Yeah, neither do I.
He seems suspect. So yeah, I guess, so then a technical question that an annoying person like me might ask then is, obviously the medallions you already had are technically different now.
Yeah.
But the technical definition of the all dungeons run is not like,
It's not collect the medallion.
it is
but
beat
it's
the dungeon.
beat the dungeon.
Exactly.
Enter the blue warp.
Yeah, so even though we have new versions of our medallions, we're still gonna go beat the dungeons we haven't already beaten.
Oh,
That was interesting.
not almost there. All right, let's try that Hess again. No. All right, fine. We'll give it one more try. If not, then I'll do the backwalk of shame. All right, I guess we're doing the backwalk of shame. Unfortunate.
That is a 1 frame. I mean, you know, on the...
Hessing is generally a difficult trick to do, so... Anyway, so we set Ferrari's Wind in the market. Of course, we're just going to continue doing Ferrari's Wind shenanigans because that's pretty much what this game is all about to a certain degree. So this time, we are going to set up another Death Hole Wrong Warp chain, but we're actually going to set up for a very difficult chain called a Death Hole Void Warp, where part of the Death Hole Wrong Warp sequence is going to be doing a Void Warp at one point, which is going to be difficult to do, and hopefully we do not mess any of it up. All right, so we have our items correct. Ferori's Wind on X, Hookshot on Y. Gonna do more Death Hole Wrong Warping here. So at the start of this next part where we appear, which is not near the cow, unfortunately, I have to very quickly backwalk into the grotto loading zone here and then return Ferori's Wind as quickly as I can. If I'm too late, then we crash, so hopefully that doesn't happen. Okay, we're good. So now we're gonna pop back up into the child market as adult Link at a very weird spot, which is where the return point for that grotto that we entered was. Now we're going to reset Ferori's Wind to that weird grotto point, and we're going to attempt to use Ferori's Wind while exiting the market through the front, not through this loading zone, but through this one, which is next, which is going to warp us into Shadow Temple. And then by holding a very specific control stick direction, I can hit the Shadow Temple boss room loading zone, which will warp us into Morpha's room.
Did you guys catch all that?
Yeah, this will be on the exam.
That's good. Yeah, we got it. Okay, good.
So here's Morpha, boss of the Water Temple.
So that was a very normal sequence of...
That was a very normal sequence of
Honestly,
events.
and I'm not even really doing a bit, as far as Ocarina of Time goes, that's pretty tame.
Yeah, that is pretty tame as far as modern Ocarina of Time can go, yeah. I'd say it's more on the crazier side for OOT 3D because
Sure.
OOT 3D doesn't get as crazy as the N64 version does a lot of the time. But yeah, so now we're just doing your standard Morpha fight. We're also gonna take some damage here while Morpha does Morpha things. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Is that gonna reach? Get a little closer. Come on. There you go. All right, so we're gonna put Morpha in the corner. This has been the standard Morpha strat for 10 years. Longer than that, probably. Morpha can't do anything when it's in the corner, so not too difficult of a fight.
I love that you're beating this boss in the title screen state.
Yeah, we also technically are beating this boss while on the title screen. Because yes, we are still in Death Hole Wrong Warp mode right now.
Jim, you just can't help yourself. You love these Zelda games playing on the title screen.
I mean, yeah,
Skyward Sword's calling your name.
not my fault the devs made them playable on the title screen.
Yeah, hey.
All right, so we're going to be entering the blue warp here while in Death Hole Wrong Warp mode, which effectively is going to act as a cutscene skip for us. We are going to set Ferori's Wind here, though, because where we end up is not somewhere that we can die. So we're going to return Ferori's Wind afterwards, and then we are going to do the death stuff again. So thankfully, no precise restricted items that we have to use here. So if you pay attention very closely, you'll actually notice that we're in the Chamber of Sages as we return Ferori's Wind here. The cutscene just kind of gets canceled because of Death Hole Wrong Warping. And then we're going to set Ferori's Wind again. So interestingly, with Ferori's Wind, Ferori's Wind here is not technically saving the fact that we are in Morpha's boss room. Ferori's Wind is actually setting itself at the entrance index of the loading zone that we last went through, which was the Shadow Temple boss room, which leads to Bongo Bongo. We were only appearing in Morpha's room repeatedly because of the relative value of 4 that Death Hole Wrong Warping was adding to our entrance index. So now when we return Ferori's Wind, we're just going to be in Bongo Bongo's room, so now we can easily clear out Shadow Temple.
That's so nice.
Yeah. It is quite just it's interesting to think about the route for this game in a lot of ways is solely dependent on just how the entrance table is laid out.
I mean, that's base OT too, right? Like there's so many, I think about that a lot in Ocarina of Time. There's so many coincidences that play to our favor.
Yeah.
Like power, crouch stab, and ISG both existing is like such a great coincidence combo. And entrance tables are like that too. Like Ganondorf being the way that it is such a coincidence.
Come on, there we go. Okay.
How did that not hit you?
That's a great question. All right, let's see if we can get the 1 cycle on Bongo here. I don't like that position. Oh, I think it was a little too early. The timing for the 1 cycle on Bongo Bongo is very difficult, so I'm not surprised that I missed it there. Oh, hello. All right. 2 cycles, not too bad.
There are stun locks on a lot of bosses in this game. Basically, you hit them like right when they're actionable again, and they just stay in that stun. You can do it on Twinrova second phase. You can do it on Bongo. There's a lot of bosses for which, I mean, you saw Goma as well at the beginning. They're not trivial, but, you know, it's pretty powerful.
Yeah. All right, so thankfully, because the title screen file gave us the Shadow Medallion, for Shadow and Spirit Temple specifically, the game actually checks to see if you have the medallion itself. Also nice, we're drinking potion while in the blue warp, very good. The game actually checks to see if we have the Shadow Medallion to determine if it should play the Shadow Medallion cutscene or not. And because we already do have it in our inventory, we just get teleported out of the dungeon.
That's so nice.
All right, so now next up on the docket, we got Dodongo's Cavern. We're finally going to go back for. Not any particularly interesting movement that's going to happen up here, so we can read some donations in the meantime.
You betcha. We got $25 here from Noises that says, hit, hit, hit! Loving the speedrun and learning tons of tricks to try out. Also, kill the animals. Sorry, not sorry. Yeah, there was a little while there where Kill the Animals pulled ahead, but Save the Animals is clobbering Kill the Animals right now. So Kill the Animals fans, I know you're out there. You got to send your donations in to make that happen. We also got a $111.11 donation from Anonymous that says, hey, listen.
I'm listening.
Yeah.
Oh, I can read more donations then if that's the case. We got $25 from the Wayfaring Fox that says, hey Jim, I can explain the glitch that gets the file from the title screen. Ocarina of Time 3D defaults to the value that resets the game. And the boss battle area sets no entrance with Pharaoh's Wind. Using Blue Warp from the Deku Tree, you are able to prevent the title screen cutscene from playing and do that reset at the same time. That's how you're able to get the file.
Thank you, Fox. I greatly appreciate it.
Very infrequently, I would say, does a donation clear up a difficult glitch.
And I want to point out to everybody, we just crossed 26,000 not that long ago. We're already really close to 27,000. How quickly can we get to 27,000, chat? I think we can do it really, really soon. Let's get those donations in.
All right, so here we are in Dodongo's Cavern. This dungeon can be beaten very quickly with a good old glitch that we're going to do here called a hookshot jump. The way that we do hookshot jumps here is only possible in the 3DS version because of how there's a boots animation that plays when Link tries to put on the hover and iron boots. So I essentially tried to play that animation at the exact same frame that Link hookshotted that ladder. Also, I'm very surprised that missed. I wonder if I was a little too far forward.
You're just going to wait to void out?
Yeah, I'm just going to wait to void out. But yeah, so basically what should have happened there is we should have hit the loading zone for the Dodongo, or for the King Dodongo boss room was the goal there. But that means that we can see the hookshot jump again. This one also does have to go very high, so it can be a little tricky to get the proper height for, because it is also a frame perfect input that we do here. All right, let's see about this one. We can use the mini-map as a guide for where to put Link. Okay, there we go.
Nice.
And now here's King Dodongo.
Hookshot jump is super powerful. When that was discovered, and applicable in both games in various different ways, tricks with verticality are really interesting in Ocarina of Time. Ways to gain and lose height quickly are really cool. And hookshot jump is a very interesting example.
So, because we're so tall as Adult Link, we can just kind of feed King Dodongo his bombs. Interestingly, that's not something that I believe you can do on N64 without doing like some sort of precision-based movement of some kind.
No, you can ground jump.
Right.
And then pull the bomb during ground jump, but I think that's the only way.
Yeah. For some reason in Ocarina of Time 3D, Link is just taller. Yeah, clap for that. Very difficult boss fight right there.
I love when runners are like, I don't need your applause. That was trivial, please stop.
All right, so in the fastest version of in the fastest route for this category, you would do a Ferori's Wind Wrong Warp to skip this cutscene. But this cutscene does look a little funny.
Oh, I love this
If,
cutscene as Adult Link.
If you view it as Adult Link and also wear the iron boots while doing so.
It's a classic.
Yeah. So we're just gonna watch this cutscene as one normally would. I think we can probably squeeze in 1 or 2 donations before the funny part happens.
You betcha. We got 2 donations here, actually, from Don that says, always love watching GDQ at TwitchCon. Hello from the crowd. And seeing the funny during the speedruns. All love to you guys, Enable Gamers. And a second donation from Don also says, also, I love even numbers, heart. And those came in for $29 total between those 2 donations. Thank you very much, Don.
Thank you very much, Don. So yeah, the fastest version of the route would basically set Ferrari's wind somewhere that would pretty much just allow us to skip this cutscene. It wouldn't be used for like a useful wrong warp or anything, but it would save like 40 seconds, I think. Also, for some reason, if you watch this cutscene as Adult Link, the Goron Ruby is not where it should be. After the camera pans around here, if you look at the hilt of Link's sword and then look up, like just up on the screen from where the hilt of his sword is, you can see Goron's ruby is just in the ground right there. I'm not sure how that happened exactly, but that's what happens if you watch this cutscene as Adult Link.
So here's where the fun stuff begins too.
Yeah.
This is where Link is not the right height for this cutscene.
There he goes.
Yeah, the Iron Boots aren't doing any favors with their decreased movement speed.
All right, so we did a lot of temples in quick succession there, so much so that we only have 2 left. We have Spirit Temple and Fire Temple left, so because we have all the songs, we'll just play Requiem of Spirit and make our way over to Spirit Temple. Spirit Temple is one of the ones where we can't just, like, we're gonna go through it pretty fast, but we can't just skip the whole thing with like a hookshot jump or something like that. So we actually have to go in and go through a few rooms. So one of the items that the title screen file does not actually give us are the silver gauntlets. I believe we do have Goron bracelet, but because we don't have silver gauntlets, we can't push the block that's here. So instead we have to do a silver block skip. Setup for this, we're gonna aim like this and then go down.
You guys still do this setup? Oh,
Yeah.
that's delightful. That's like an OG way to skip the silver block in OT. I love that is still getting play in a category. That's great.
And then another thing the title screen file gives us is 8 keys in every dungeon, even dungeons that don't have keys. So we just have 8 Spirit Temple keys that we can use, which is convenient.
Does it give boss keys in dungeons that don't have boss keys?
It also does give boss keys in every dungeon.
That's always nice.
It's got to get my Deku Tree boss key, everyone. Mm-hmm. This will save that for whenever the randomizer introduces random boss key doors.
Oh God.
Are you excited for that in No Logic?
No. I struggle enough, Jim.
I'm going to jump in real quick and let everyone know we are less than $200 away from 27,000, y'all.
Every donation is going towards a really tremendous cause. Able Gamers is a really great foundation.
All right, so this room, we're also going to do a small hookshot jump in. Well, not that small. Come on. There we go. To get up to the top. I guess it's important to note we don't have the long shot. We only just have the regular hook shot. With the long shot, you can just immediately get up to the top of that room by grabbing onto the top of it there. And then here, we're going to do another hook shot jump to skip the boss key, or like the sequence that you'd use to get to the boss door. There we go. Whee!
Nice.
All right, so, because normally what you would actually have to do there to get into, like, where the boss door is you'd have to, like, push a bunch of mirrors again and shine the mirror shield on some stuff, and it's just kind of slow. So even though we already have the boss key, it is not faster to actually use it.
Do you do a Nibiru cutscene skip in this run?
We do not know. It is technically possible, but it's one of those things where it's like it saves 5 seconds or something.
Right.
So it's not something that like has ever really been attempted to put in the run reasonably, because I think it's like also a lot harder to achieve from what I understand. So we will just be fighting the Nibiru Knuckle. Yeah, so so basically just jump slash followed by either quick spin or single slash, depending on if we get the overhead or side attacks. With the overhead attacks, there's enough time to get the quick spin in there. But with the side attacks, we can only do a single slash, otherwise we would get hit.
It's interesting, even though the game's the same, like, physical size, like the rooms are the same dimensions, maybe it's just because of Link's increased size, but the game feels smaller. Like, when you were standing next to Nabooru Knuckle, I was like, oh, you're really close to this enemy. When typically, for some reason, the distance or the vantage point maybe just feels different.
Yeah, there might also be like some differences with the way the camera is.
True,
yeah. The perspective of the camera that's being used. It is also in 3D, of course.
No way. You should turn the 3D on.
Oh, I should. That means it'll go to the left.
Oh, because it's only showing one of the stereoscopic perspectives? That's really funny.
Yeah, the capture card captures the left screen, which is why everything looks right-shifted, so we'll get rid of that. So
that's incredibly funny.
Everything looks correct again. We're also going to equip some gear here. So it might look like I have equipped the Bigoron sword here, and you might be wondering, well, why didn't you use that earlier? Because that's actually not the Bigoron sword, that is the Giant's Knife, which means that it will break after 3 hits, and we would like to use those 3 hits on Twinrova, so that we can do an easy 1 cycle in the second phase here. We also equipped the Goron Tunic because we'll be going to Fire Temple after this, and the Mirror Shield because you need the Mirror Shield to fight Twinrova at all.
And also, Goron Tunic Mirror Shield is just a nice looking combo.
It is, just the nice red combo.
I'm a Hylian Shield Zora Tunic enjoyer myself. What's your tunic of choice, Jim?
I think in the N64 version, I'd probably go with Goron Tunic, but in OOT 3D, I think the Zora Tunic looks better. Something about the coloring of the Zora Tunic in the N64 version feels slightly off to me for some reason. That's just a me thing. See. So Twinrova can be a bit of an RNG fight. The way that the witches move around, and sometimes the speed at which they try to shoot us can be a little random. Oh wait, double?
Do you get a double?
Double.
Oh, nice.
We got the double.
What if you get a triple?
That's good RNG. That would be sick.
So the sister that's going to shoot next is the one that just... Okay, not a triple.
Yeah, not a triple.
Is the one that has hovered over the center of a pillar most recently, I believe. So the fire is going to come again. This is still pretty fast so far.
Yeah.
And so you can get doubles if they decide to like move to the same pillar, because they randomly move around the room to the pillars or adjacent to the pillars.
Or not. Oh, okay. Yeah, I've only ever seen, so like we got a double back there. Technically, getting like 3 or 4 in a row is also possible. I have only ever seen 4 in a row happen once, and it was not in my game that I saw.
Yeah, I think there are very few documented cases of 4.
All right, so where are you going? Okay, so here we're going to do a slight speed up strategy where we shoot the hook shot momentarily after Twinrova shoots the fire at us, or the element at us, whichever one it is. This causes her to go to wherever she's going to go next quicker. For this last hit, we're going to get on the pillar where she is so that we can be properly positioned for the Giant's Knife hits. We have to do a bit of a weird strategy here. If we're too close to Twinrova, the Giant's Knife will hit multiple times.
Which is bad because we don't want it to break.
Yeah, because then it will break too soon and we'd have to go through a second cycle here. So that's why we put on the hover boots, because the hover boots will also prevent us from going too far forward during the jump slash. And now we get this cutscene, which means we have more time for some donations.
Yeah, you bet. We got $25 from Anonymous that says, "Hi from 3 rows from the back. Save the animals, but destroy the cuckoos. Good luck. They're immortal."
They really are.
I've played enough Skyrim and Ocarina of Time to know that attacking chickens is just a bad idea. Don't do that. We also got $100 from, I think it's Illikakake? I'm probably saying that wrong. I'm so sorry if I am. But they said that $100 with the comment, "Hype!"
Jim, what do you think they're saying there? Hyenas?
Yeah, that hyenas sounds about right.
There's another one that I won't say that they could be saying.
Yeah. All right, so same deal as Shadow Temple. Because we have the Spirit Medallion already, we're not going to get a cutscene after here, which is good. Means we don't have to spend time watching cutscenes. And now we only have 1 dungeon left, which is going to be the Fire Temple. So we will play Bolero of Fire and get over there real quick.
Oh, you already have the boss key, most likely.
And we already have the boss key.
And the Megaton Hammer.
And the Megaton Hammer. So as you can imagine, Fire Temple's going to be very short.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, we're basically just gonna head straight to Volvagia, which means that if you have any more donations to read, now would probably be the time to read them because the run will be ending soon.
Ooh.
Next couple minutes here.
Running soon, folks. That means we do have to get save and kill the animals incentive, bid war. That's gonna be locking down pretty soon because it's gonna be near the end of Super Metroid. That is immediately after this run, so you are running out of time. All you kill the animal fans, if you are wanting to kill the animals, you are going to need to get your donations in soon. $200 comes in from Anonymous. Thank you so much for that. No comment? No problem at all. Thank you very much. And as a reminder, we are less than $200 away from $27,000 for Able Gamers. That would be awesome to hit 27,000. Let's make that happen.
Probably got time for one more.
Sure, you got it. We got $50 from The Only Colossus. Also with no comment? No problem at all. Thank you very much.
All right, so this is gonna be Volvagia. This effectively is going to be the final boss of the run. This run does not fight Ganon. We have other means of completing the game that are not defeating Ganon.
Jim, the sanctity of my speed run.
I'll tell you why the sanctity of your speedrun doesn't care after we do this.
Oh, Jim, my fragile heart.
I feel like we've been bullying ADEF this entire run.
Yeah,
That's fine. It's fine.
Just bully ADEF%.
I'm fine.
I mean, Adif agreed to be up here.
That's true. But you asked me. So
I
that
did
really
ask you.
that really poses a question of what the goal was here. Is there a one cycle possible with bombs with the like in the original? I imagine not.
Yeah, we can do the same thing.
Oh,
it's,
nice.
It's actually easier.
Oh, great.
Let's see. So we'll have to stun Volvagia here.
So there's like a bonus Volvagia that's loaded in this boss room at all times, pretty much. Not all times, but when Volvagia flies up out of the hole, there's like two of them. There's the flying one and the like whack-a-mole one. And when the whack-a-mole phase is going on, the flying one is, you can damage it. And that back front hole, Jim is causing damage with explosives so that he doesn't have to hit Volvagia as many times. And assuming you do it right, you can one-cycle the boss.
Yeah, unfortunately, I made a mistake on the previous attempt at the cycle there because I accidentally damaged Volvagia with a bomb chew, which caused it to go back into the hole too quickly. So we got a 2-cycle instead.
Yeah, if all the glitches they removed were from a run from 2010, they wouldn't have known about this.
Yeah.
We didn't know about this.
All right, so assuming that everything goes well here, time will be coming up soon. If you remember, we set Ferori's Wind at the base of Death Mountain Trail, and we're going to end the run here with one final wrong warp.
Assuming that we can hit Ferori's Wind on the correct frame.
Bring it out here. All right, that is the frame. Time will be coming up in just a few seconds. And time.
And we're on the credits.
And we're at the credits, specifically the programmers.
Let's go, programmers!
So yeah, that is one of the many ways that you can do credits warp in this game, or one of the many areas that you can do credits warp in. Because the credits take place over such a long period of time, or sorry, the
So many
credits take place
locations.
over so many locations,
Yeah.
there are a lot of places you can set Ferori's Wind to do a credits warp. And as far as like beating the game is concerned, I would argue that the game thinks it's been beaten because this unlocks Master Quest.
Absolutely, and also the category is all dungeons, and our definition of a dungeon is anything with a blue warp, and by my list, we did all of those.
Yep,
So there's no more dungeons.
there are no more dungeons.
That was an incredibly good run, Jim.
Thank you very much.
14 minutes underestimate is pretty solid.
Oh yeah, 126, nice.
Yeah, I feel like, I will say, as somebody that has seen a lot of Gymnast 86 GDQ appearances, I think it is easy to sort of, because you're very good at like technical explanations and like, you know, explaining what things as they're going on, it can be easy as the audience to be like, oh, well, that must not have been that hard. But that was very difficult.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that I went essentially 3 for 4 on the Ferori's Wind rock.
Yeah,
warps.
yeah.
Also, hold on. There's a random explosion sound effect that plays here. There it is.
Great. I love OOT. Jim, any shout outs you want to give?
Obviously, first and foremost, big shout outs to Fox for explaining the trick that I didn't know the technical details of in the middle of the run. Of course, big shout outs to the OOT 3D community in general. Shout outs to Zelda Cubed, the current world record holder of this category, who has a 1:18.14.
Wow.
Currently. Yeah, really good run, really good runner. Yeah. If you are interested in trying to speedrun Ocarina of Time 3D, we have a link to the Discord server at speedrun.com/OOT3D.
Follow Jim. Follow Gymnast.
I do also exist, that's true.
That's true.
You can just Google Gymnast86, it'll probably come up with the correct stuff. But yeah, anything more from you, Adef?
No, just keep donating, everybody. We've only got, I think by my count, 2 more runs coming up, and then the event will be over. This is the final day of TwitchCon here in San Diego. So keep those donations coming in for Able Gamers, and let's get one more round of applause for Gymnast and OOT3D.